I just want to just compare just overall the attitude that Donald Trump is bringing to the country after 8 years of Obama apologizing for America, and just compare it to what the Democrats are actually trying to sell you. Trump gave a speech yesterday touting the economy, and he called a worker up to talk about what he's going to do with his $1,000 bonus that he got because of the tax cuts. And here is the worker. Yeah, you got the cut? Okay.
With the tax cut and the bonus, I will be trying to save up money to start a family and eventually get a bigger house.
Oh,
so
I like that idea.
Yep.
That's good.
In terms of the bonus that corporate America received versus the crumbs that they are giving to workers to kind of put the schmooze on is so pathetic. It's so pathetic.
So there's Trump standing with the worker. The guy got $1,000. He says, hey, you know what? If I save this, if I do this right and I work, maybe I'll get a little extra pay. I can start a family. I can buy a house. And Trump is going, yeah, babe. Yeah, this is the way to do it. And what, what's so offensive about what Pelosi says is that, they keep telling you, like Snopes has this, left-wing fact check, they call it, and Google rigs it so Snopes comes up when you Google Pelosi saying crumbs. They say, what's the context? Well, the context is envy. It's not what you have that matters. It's that the other guy has more. Who cares? What's it to me? I don't care if some guy's got $1 billion. As long as I've got what I want, what do I care? This guy's starting a family. He's not a billionaire. He's starting a family. He's buying a house. He's thinking about my house. He's got hope for the future. That's crumbs. It's crumbs compared to them. They got it all. You got to. I mean, it's amazing. And the other thing, even moving away from the stock market and just talking about this memo that came out that the left is trying to now this is really interesting. Now they're going to release, they voted to release the Democrat memo. And interestingly, all the Republicans said release the memo, whereas when they released the Republican memo, all the Democrats said no. I never know with this whether it's smart for the Republicans to play nice and say we're much better than you, or they should play the same hardball as the Democrats and say, nah, we have the majority, you're not releasing it, take a hike, bounce in. But just even the way this is going, I just want to compare the attitude of these two sides, right? Here's Trump with the entire media and the Democrats selling everybody that this memo is a conspiracy, it's a nothing burger, it's a dud, right? And Trump comes out, I think this is cut, it's number 9, cut number 9. Listen to his reaction to the memo.
Or it all goes back to where it was and worse. Oh, but did we catch them in the act or what? You know what I'm talking about. Oh, did we catch them in the act? They are very embarrassed. They never thought they were going to get caught. We caught them. Hey, we caught them. Oh, it's so much fun. Great sleuth.
Great sleuth. He's having a great time. It's so much fun. Let's see if Chuck Schumer is having a great time. Play that Schumer clip.
We are dealing with probably the most dangerous and worst man in the presidency we have ever had in the history of this nation. But we are going to win the fight. If we can take back the Senate, that means that I will have the sole power to determine what goes on the floor of the Senate. And that will mean we will not get another backward right-wing judge on the Supreme Court, period. It means we'll be able to stop Donald Trump from putting all his junk on the floor and stop the anti-LGBT cascade of things that come into the United States Senate. So keep up the activism, keep up the protests, keep up the calling, keep up everything that you do, and we will take this country back. Thank you, and God bless you.
Chuck does not look happy. It's just all I'm saying here is history is a level 2 chaotic system, and some of the predictions and some of the attitudes you bring to it determine the history. I'm not talking about the power of positive thinking. I'm not talking about Joel Osteen stuff where you just always expect the best. I'm talking about having confidence that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, using your wisdom, cultivating your wisdom, using that to guide you, having confidence that God will be there in a fix, in a necessity, and going forward believing that you're going in the right direction. Who's doing that right now? Who is doing that? The stock market is reacting to Trump. The stock market is a completely irrational system as far as I can tell, and it really is reacting to the absolute attitude of fun and optimism that this guy has. Sometimes where you look at him and you think, like, I don't even know what he's so happy about, but he is absolutely having a good time. Let me again compare Adam Schiff, and I have said everything I have to say about Adam Schiff. I just think he's a McCarthyite bad guy. He really is not an honest guy, and he's not an honest broker of information. But we're talking about, you know, let's do it this way. Sarah Sanders was talking, they were saying to her about this Donald Trump Jr. meeting that they think is treasonous and all this, and she just gave the entire Russia collusion story. She just put it in perspective. This clip is a little bit long, but it really is worth, this is clip number 6. She puts the entire thing in perspective.
Everybody wants to try to make this some story about misleading. The only thing I see misleading is a year's worth of stories that have been fueling a false narrative about this Russia collusion and based on a phony scandal based on anonymous sources. And I think that is, if we're going to talk about misleading, that's the only thing misleading I see in this entire process. You guys are focused on a meeting that Don Jr. had no consequence when the Democrats actually colluded with a foreign government like Ukraine. The Democrat-linked firm Fusion GPS actually took money from the Russian government while it created the phony dossier that's been the basis for all of the Russia scandal fake news. And if you want to talk further about a relationship with Russia, look no further than the Clintons. As we've said time and time again, Bill Clinton was paid $500,000 to give a speech to a Russian bank and was personally thanked by Putin for it. Hillary Clinton allowed 1/5 of America's uranium to reserve to be sold to a Russian firm whose investors were Clinton Foundation donors. And the Clinton campaign chairman's brother lobbied against sanctions on Russia's largest bank and failed to report it. If you guys want to talk about having relations, which you seem obsessed with doing, look no further than there. If you want to talk about somebody who's actually been tough on Russia, look at President Trump. He wants more fracking, more coal, more energy.
So she's telling you there's wrongdoing on the Democrat side, and Trump is being tough on Russia. Now listen to what Adam Schiff says about this Russia collusion thing. Listen to what the vision that he's putting forward. Again, this is cut number 5.
As you have seen, they parroted Black Lives Matter to try to broaden the racial divide in this country. Fascinatingly, they also trumpeted the Second Amendment. Apparently, the Russians are very big fans of our Second Amendment. They don't particularly want a Second Amendment of their own, but they're really glad that we have one.
The Russians are coming! The Russians are coming!
So he's saying not only Black Lives Matter, which was virtually a creation of Barack Obama to cover up for his malfeasance in office, but he's saying our Second Amendment is a Russian. The Russians are promoting the Second Amendment, so we'll all kill each other. I mean, he's giving you not a vision of Republican wrongdoing, which would be one thing. He's giving you this complete vision that your country is completely taken over, is completely out of control. And I just want to finish this with Hillary Clinton, because if you want to be happy, I'm sure some of you are just so sorry she was not elected. Ha ha ha. But if you want to just remind yourself of how happy you are that Hillary Clinton was not elected president, she was giving a talk and answering some questions the other day. All I'm talking about is the vision of the world, a vision that helps create the world that will be. What kind of people we elect and what kind of visions we have actually help create the world that's going to be. So Hillary is out there, and she was asked about climate change, and she was asked if women, you know, like the old funny New York Times headline, world ends, women in blacks worst affected. She was asked if women would bear the brunt of climate change. Listen carefully to this response. This is cut 12.
With respect to the rest of the world, I would say that particularly for women, you're absolutely right. They will bear the brunt of looking for the food, looking for the firewood, looking for the place to migrate to when all of the grass is finally gone as the desertification moves south and you have to keep moving your livestock, or your crops are no longer growing, they're burning up in the intense heat that we're now seeing reported across North Africa into the Middle East and into India. So yes, women once again will be the primarily burdened with the problems of climate change.
It's the apocalypse. In her imagination, it's the apocalypse. And the girls, she's talking to all these young girls at Georgetown University, and they're smiling and nodding. Yes, well, it's going to be Mad Max, and we're going to get, and it's going to be bad for women. That's the worst thing. It's going to be unfair to women. Not only is the world going to end, it's going to be unfair to women. The stuff that you imagine, the attitude that you take into life is going to affect the way the future goes, and it's certainly going to affect the very moment you're living in. Who do you want in power? I mean, who do you want in power? The guy who thinks that tomorrow it's all going to be desert and, and despair, or the guy who's having a good time and thinks we're doing pretty well, which, in fact, we are.